Helsinki was named the capital of Finland in 1812. Although it is Finland's largest city, it is relatively small compared to other Scandinavian capitals. Finland is the seventh largest European country. It is bordered on the west by Sweden, on the north by Norway, on the east by Russia, and on the south by the Gulf of Finland and Estonia, which is only 80 kilometers away across the Baltic Sea. This is a statue of Mannerheim, a war hero from Finland. It's the Olympic Stadium where the 1938 Olympic Games were held, and a statue of the Flying Finn is in the area. He was a hero of those games. This is a Sibylus monument, which is just a series of large pipes welded together. This is a famous rock church, which made by blasting out 100 tons of rock from the center of the granite structure, placing a copper dome over the top. Of copper wire. It's like carnival spirit.
Carnival spirit is going to Baltic Sea, this one. So pleasure when they have drank too many beers in the night, so they get punished and they have to wash the carpet. Yes, wash the carpet the next day. They have, and it's also, they say that because this is not a very salty water, it's only slightly salty, that the colors come out really good.
The red brick edifice that looms over the east side of the market is the Orthodox Uspensky Cathedral. This is a 100-year-old restaurant. This is a neoclassical Helsinki Senate Square designed by Carl Ludwig Engel. The domed Tuomiokerko, or Lutheran Cathedral, is what you see here.
It's a St. Catherine's Church used for the storage of sports equipment now.
Not only the old.
This is the Opera Theater. St. Isaac's Cathedral in St. Isaac's Square. The monument is to Nicholas I. This is Mariinsky's Palace. This is the famous Astoria Hotel that Hitler was trying to capture. Sonia is explaining that we are standing on a wide bridge. In spite of it looking like just a cement square, it's actually a bridge. St. Isaac's Cathedral is the largest cathedral in Russia. This is an art museum. The famous statue of Peter the Great. In the Great Northern War of 1700 to 1721, Peter the Great captured the Swedish outpost on the Neva, and in 1703 founded the Peter and Paul fortress on the Neva. In 1709, he named the city St.PETERSBURG, and 3 years later made it his capital. That's the Peter and Paul fortress. This is the Church of the Resurrection, also known as the Church of the Spilled Blood. This is the eternal flame dedicated to those who perished in the Russian Civil War. These are barracks in the yellow buildings in the back.
But so this church was very damaged during the last war, and so not long ago the scaffoldings were removed, and even it was opened not long ago, so even in the 2 years ago, because now it's not functioning church, so it's a museum inside, so it's a museum of the same.
Church of the...
These are Fabergé eggs worn as pendants. St. Petersburg was the hub of the 1905 revolution started on Bloody Sunday, January 9, 1905, when strikers marching to petition the Tsar in the Winter Palace were fired on by the troops. At the start of World War I, the city's name was changed to the Russian-style Petrograd. The city was again the cradle of revolution in 1917 when, following the workers' protests leading to the end of the monarchy in March, Lenin came back here from exile to lead his Bolshevik party to power on October 25th. In March of 1918, the Bolshevik Party became the Communist Party and moved to Moscow. This is Nevsky Prospect and is Russia's most famous street. Runs for 4 kilometers from the Admiralty to the Alexander Nevsky Monastery. This is the Kazan Cathedral. Three years of civil war saw Petrograd's population drop to about 700,000. The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics was established in 1922, and in 1924, following Lenin's death in January, Petrograd was renamed Leningrad. We now enter the Hermitage Museum from the back door. Winter Palace in Palace Square was commissioned in 1754 by Empress Elizabeth, boasting 1,057 rooms and 117 staircases. It houses part of the Hermitage. The remainder of the Hermitage is housed in 4 more linked buildings: the Little Hermitage, the Old and the New Hermitage, and the Hermitage Theatre, running west to east from the palace. This is Rembrandt's last painting, and somehow a Lithuanian got a hold of some acid and threw it on the painting at one time, and they had to do quite a bit of work to restore it. This shows the painting after the acid was thrown on it, but it's been restored.
Picture occurred before they had the glass covers on.
You have it.
This is a bust of Catherine the Great, who was actually a Prussian princess from Germany rather than a Russian. Of course, she became a Russian. And the bust of Peter the Great. This is the Palace Square. It's taken from an upstairs window of the Winter Palace, which actually is one of the 5 buildings that make up the Hermitage.
This is our little private tour guide who got us in through a back door or a side door, and we missed all the crowd, the people that were in the front, and we just zipped right through this Hermitage to see as much of it as you could in a minimum amount of time. Great way to do it.
The magnificent Winter Palace is seen from the Palace Square. One can see how 1,057 rooms could be hidden in here. This is the 47.5-meter Alexander Column, which commemorates the 1812 victory over Napoleon. Across the road is the gilded spire of the old Admiralty, former headquarters of the Russian Navy from 1711 to 1917. This is a statue of Lenin.
We had to take a picture of the Splendor of the Seas since it was the cruise ship we took in 1997 through the fjords of Norway, and was the first time that we ever had a stern cabin. Since that time, we've tried to get stern cabins. They're just great.
The Park and Palace Ensemble of Sarko-Selo, the Tsar's town, is an exquisite monument of Russian art and culture with a worldwide reputation. In the course of 2 centuries, Sarko-Selo became the summer residence of Russian Tsars. On 3 grounds covering a general area of about 1,482 acres, more than 100 buildings from majestic palaces and historical monuments to pavilions and small bridges are situated. The oldest structure in Sarko-Selo is the magnificent Catherine Palace. It was started in 1744 and completed in 1756. Up to 1917, Sarko-Selo served as the summer residence of the Russian emperors. The last Russian emperor, Nicholas II, lived there until his death. After the Great October Revolution, the Tsarist residences were nationalized. The palaces and grounds became art historical museums. The great Russian poet Alexander Pushkin lived and studied in Sarko-Selo. In 1937, on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of Pushkin's death, the poet's name was conferred on the town of Deskogi Selo, which meant Children's Town, which is the same place and is now called Pushkin. We're now on our way to Pavlovsk. This is one of Russia's most beautifully restored palaces. It's on a ground covering 1,500 acres, making this one of the largest landscape parks in Europe. The land was a gift from Catherine the Great to her son Paul, and the statue in the middle is of Paul. Paul built a palace here to serve as a summer residence for the Tsar. The palace has a vast collection of paintings and works of art.
German uniform, and Germans decided just in case not to destroy this morning. So everything was in ruins except.
We're now headed back to St. Petersburg, and we'll visit the Peter and Paul Fortress, which is where the Tsars are buried.
And the area of St. Peter and Paul Fortress.
These 7 plaques represent where the bones of the last of the Romanovs were brought into the cathedral. Originally, nobility blamed Nicholas II for the loss of the Tsar's position, and he was not welcome, but in 1998 the bones of he and his wife and family, Olga, Titania, Maria, and Anastasia, along with little Alexei the hemophiliac, were brought into the St. Peter and Paul Cathedral. These blank spaces are where icons were, and they've been taken out for restoration.
This is in the sepulchre. This is the commandant's house. And over there's a working mint.
We sailed on the Splendor of the Seas through the fjords of Norway, and we had this cabin and this veranda. It was quite a beautiful cruise. Talin, capital city of Estonia, occupied by the Danes, the Swedes, Russians, Poles, and Lithuanians, all fought over the Baltic region. In 1710, Russia under Peter the Great won Talin away from Sweden. Only about half of Tallinn's population today is Estonian. Notice how close this ship backs into the dock. The pods on this ship make it extremely maneuverable for its size. This is the town square. This is the 19th century Russian Orthodox Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, which dominates the Lossy Platz at the top of the Tapoya, which is just the top of the mountain. They were actually conducting a service while the tourists were coming in. It was on Sunday. The Parliament building is an 18th century addition to the Tapoya Castle. This is the Lutheran Tomkirke, or Dome Church, and is Estonia's oldest church. It dates from the 14th century. Its interior was rebuilt in the 17th century, and its newly overhauled organ dates from 1913. Today is Sunday, so it is closed and we can't go in. This is the Church of the Holy Spirit.